G'day everyone, thanks for joining. We're just going to give it another minute or two. We've just still got a few more people trickling in. So we'll probably kick it off around 5:02, so just bear with us. Tiana, can you just verify that you can see the screen okay?
Yes, I can see. Can everyone see the screen that Tony is sharing? Just get our hands. Yep, it's all good.
Okay, great. Thanks, Presh. All right, well, we might get this kicked off. So thanks everyone for joining. I want to welcome everyone. It's our first GovReports webinar for 2026. There will be a series of them coming in the next few weeks and months, so keep an eye out for that. But we appreciate you taking the time out to attend today's webinar. My name is Tony. I'm the Sales and Partnerships Manager here at GovReports. If you haven't spoken to me yet, that's completely understandable. I've only just come on board this year. So I hope to meet all of you out there in person one day. I also have with me today Tiana, one of our founders, and also Sandeep, our technical expert. So if I get stuck or I can't answer any questions that you guys have, they'll be able to jump in and help out. They're far more experienced than I am.
Hi, everyone.
Thanks, Tiana. So the focus of today's webinar is going to be about some new features released, namely ATO Insights and ATO Checks. So it is going to be focused towards tax agents, but if you're a BAS agent or a business, feel free to continue to watch. We can also have a chat offline if you like about your requirements. Always happy to help. I'll also mention that obviously you won't get a chance to speak on the webinar today, but we do encourage questions. So go ahead and pop your questions in the little questions box with a question mark there. It's on the top right of my screen. Hopefully it's the same spot for you. We will endeavour to answer questions as we go along, and I'll also stop at the end of each of the two main sections to answer some questions. We'll also try and save some time at the end for a Q&A. So if anything pops in your head, just pop it in. We'll endeavour to get to those. And hey, worst case, if we get 100 questions we can't get to, we can talk to you guys offline after the webinar. Now, a little bit about us. So maybe you're a GovReports customer. Maybe you're wondering who are these guys and what they do. So just a very brief history. We've been around since 2010. We're essentially an all-in-one cloud-based tax lodgement solution. We are used by tax agents, BAS agents, and also direct businesses as well, big and small. So we have some small businesses use us and also some large franchise groups. So, pretty spread out there. Today, the product continues to evolve. We've got over 4,000 customers around the country. So it's pretty exciting. The team's growing, and we've got a solid roadmap of new features coming up for the rest of this year as well. So, but we're really excited to show you the two main features today. I've covered off housekeeping. That's fine. Okay. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to stop sharing my screen for a second, and I will jump into GovReports. And I'm going to get on there. Hopefully everyone can see that now.
Oh. Yep, we're all good.
You can see it all right?
Yes, all good, Tony.
Perfect. Okay, excellent. All right, so we're going to start off with ATO Insights. This is the dashboard that you'll be greeted with. Now, ATO Insights, you can get this as a standalone product or as part of a larger bundle with the GovReports solution. Okay, so if you're using GovReports, you can basically add this on as an extra feature. if you're not using GovReports, you can still purchase this. So we have some tax agents using, competitive tax solutions, but they've still purchased ATO Insights because they want this live data to feed through. So just to let you know. Now, I guess the purpose of this, I guess one of our sort of our mottos is, hopefully you never have to visit the ATO portal again. And we like to think with the GovReport suite of products that you won't have to do that, and this will further increase that that aspect, I guess. So here we're looking at the dashboard of income tax lodgements. So you can see here that it shows you the last 3 years, and it shows you essentially your performance of on-time lodgements. So in 2025, you've lodged 87% on time, 2024 close to 90%, etc. You've also got a table here with a bit more detail, so you can see how many lodgements are on time, how many are late, how many are due, how many are overdue, etc. Don't worry too much about if these numbers aren't adding up. This is just dummy data fed into a test system. It's one of the challenges we have, and the team's done a great job, but one of the challenges we have is, we don't want to pull live data from the ATO because that can create all sorts of complexity, so we dump some dummy data in here. If you prefer to have a graph view instead of the table, you can go ahead and just toggle that switch there. Just depends on your own personal preference. And then you can also look at the same data in for FBT as well as income tax. Okay, so I also mentioned that there are competing products to ATO Insights, and where we think we're different, or where we like to be different, is we don't download and store your data. So we're just literally reading live data from the ATO. And the reason is because I guess security and privacy are pretty big these days. We don't want to really, with the whole cyber thing, and we don't really make things too complicated. So we just keep it nice and simple, and we just literally read the data from the ATO. So just sort of mention that. I'm going to come all the way down now to some of the other widgets here, so we can see the EFT reconciliation statement, so you can see a live view of any money that's come back into the trust account, and you can download that into PDF and Excel as well. But then I think the two most important parts for me are the outstanding reports and the ATO client communications. So I'm going to start with the outstanding reports. I'm going to click into that and see, what reports are overdue. Now this will take us into the guts of GovReports. So if you're a GovReports user, you would have seen this before. If you haven't, this is kind of what it looks like. We've got a few different flavors and versions, but essentially this is what the GovReports core product looks like. And now I'm in the outstanding reports section. I'll be able to literally have a look at, well, what are those outstanding reports? What do I need to focus on? And we've tried to make this as simple as possible. So you can sort all these columns. So if you want to say, well, just show me the overdue reports by client, or show, it should be pretty common, what's the oldest overdue, because that's probably the most urgent. So you can do that, but you do get what type of form is overdue, the client name, the partner name if you've assigned a partner to one of these clients, the CRN, the period, the lodgement, when it's due, when the lodgement was overdue at this point, the status, so has it been started, is it waiting for approval, has it been lodged, those sorts of things, and when it was last updated. Now, if you had the, I guess, the full version of GovReports, you'd be able to drill in even further into this, and you'd be able to actually take action on these overdue reports. So you'd be able to drill in and say, well, if I'm a small practice, I'll be able to start now and say, hey, let's actually let's do this return, let's get this fixed. If you're a larger practice, perhaps you're got a bigger team and using maybe a practice management system, you could export this to CSV. You could distribute that out between partners or lodgers or employees in your firm, and they can get to work in resolving these overdue reports. Okay, so I'm just going to go back to the ATO Insights dashboard. Now the other big one is the ATO client communications, which is probably my favorite. So this is going to show you every communication from the ATO for your clients, and that's regardless of whether it's email, text, they'll send a letter in the post, maybe it's a notification on their MyGov account, etc., etc. So you're going to be able to see all that. Now again, this is just test data, so we've got a few from 2019, but if we actually drill into this, we'll go back into GovReports. And just bear with this, there's probably 50 people using this test account. So, okay, so now we're in the ATO client communication records. So as I said, we can see every communication that's come from the ATO to your clients, which is great, again, without having to log onto the ATO. And then we've tried to make it as easy as possible, again, where you can view all of them, you can view read or unread, which is, I guess, similar to like an email, but you can also go into more detailed filters. You can search by subject, by client, by channel. So, where did the message come from? By category, what sort of message was it? You can search by date, and you can use tags as well if you want to use tags on there. So, so it's very, very cool. Again, some other products where we differ is some other products will just bombard these messages out to your clients. Again, we won't do that. It's up to you to individually send them if you need to. So perhaps a client just missed a message, or they can't find a message and it's important. You can literally just resend that to them, and I'll show you how to do that in a minute. But probably my favorite feature is with spam messages. So obviously these days spam is getting pretty bad. You've got AI coming into the space as well, which will probably make it worse. So we've all had those messages where we get a message that says, you owe the ATO, or you're overdue on payment, or you're gonna face court proceedings or something like that, and you have a bit of a heart attack. So you can actually come in here and validate whether that message was legitimate or not. So if a client did ring you and say, hey, I thought we were all under control of our tax, I just got a message saying, if we don't pay $20,000 next month, we're going to be shut down. You can obviously just go in and verify that, whether that's true or not. Probably unlikely that it is true, but either way, you can clarify that. So you've got some actions down here. You can download these messages. So if you just wanted to download it yourself and email it, or you wanted to download it and put it to another system, you can do that. You can forward it directly from GovReports as well, which I'll show you in a minute. And then some other standard features. You can archive if it's not important, but you can just mark it as read. So if we wanted to say forward this, if we said, yeah, look, actually this is pretty important, maybe my client's missed it, or they've said they've missed it, I'm going to forward it. You can send an email straight out of the system. Now, we do give you default templates that you can use. You can also just create your own templates as well if you want to. So you can set all that up. And one of the other cool things is we use security with this. So we're ISO 27001 certified, which kind of means, we take security pretty serious. We obviously deal with some sensitive information and so forth. So you've got three options here. So when you send this email, you can set it as no security, which probably most of the time you're not going to do. Depends on what you're sending out. You can set it with a security code to an email address, or you can set it with security code. So what they mean is, if you set it with a security code to email, when you email this out, a separate email will go out with a security code, a unique security code every time. And when the client goes to read the message, they'll have to enter that code. I get a business email me every month, and it's a similar feature in Google where they email me and then they say, I'll need a code from a separate email to access that original email. So that's kind of the way that works. And the other one is the set security code. So let's just say as part of your engagement process, you gave every client, a unique security code. It could just be random generated. It could be the last four digits of their phone number, could be their postcode, whatever it might be. And that's kind of their fixed security code for all communications you send out until you change it. Okay, so if they remember their security code is 1234, when they get a message out, they just know to put in that code. Okay. Also, again, like any good software solution, I think you should be able to drill down into and see more detail. So we're going to go in here. Now, again, this is just a test account, so we're not going to mock up fake ATO letters and stuff like that. But when you drill down into this, it will actually show you, if you're pulling real data from the ATO, it will show you the actual ATO notice, and you can see the real detail of what's going on and all that sort of thing. Okay, just check my notes here. I think that's it there. I'm going to come back to ATO Insights Day. Yep.
Yep. Do we have questions from the floor? Just don't forget to send us your questions if you do. There's two points that I note from the presentation. Thanks, Tony. Is that one is that if on the outstanding reports, if you are a GovReports register member, the lodgement status will be linked. So when you prepare a report in GovReports, it will be automatically updated. So if you prepare the tax return and it's currently in draft, it will tell you that it's in draft, and if it's valid or if it has been sent for signature, you will have the status along with it. However, if you are not a GovReports user at the moment, then of course the lodgement status won't make any sense for you. But that's on your side, and you can export the list in the CSV and then upload onto your practice management software. The other point that I've also noted as well on the ATO client communications, if you do decide to, if you choose to send to forward the communication to the client, there is an email log. So if you have a staff member that is allocated to go through these communications in the morning, for example, then if a partner comes in and the staff member earlier has sent the communications, you would have a log to advise you that this staff member has already sent to this client. So you won't have any issues of not knowing if the communication has been sent to the client already. That means no duplicates for the clients. And if you choose to send it again, it will have the second log, the email log, confirming that it has been sent the second time by another user or another staff member. So we do keep the audit log for you on your, so that you don't have, and you won't have to check with your staff or, you know, like mistakenly send it to the clients multiple times.
Amazing. Thanks, Tiana. No, that's great. Thanks for helping me out there. I guess that's kind of the end of the ATO Insights section. So do we have any questions come through, or did I miss anything?
Yes, you have. So that's on the practice level. Now we're going to go into the client's level. If you go to a client, my client, we're going to go into a client and say we go to View International. On the client's level, for the ATO Insights, you do, besides the outstanding reports, which you've seen earlier, the practice level where you can see the whole list of all the outstanding for all the clients within the practice. On here, on the client's level, you can see, you can pull out the outstanding reports for the clients individually. So if you haven't got an updated, and if you know that your staff have recently lodged a return for the client, or the clients lodged themselves, you can click sync, and they will quickly pull out the outstanding reports in real time from the ATO for this particular client. Also on the ATO accounts. So this is on the client's level. Once you do the lodgements, you can come in here and pull out the integrated client account, income tax account, or whichever. Can you click synchronize, please?
Yep.
Yeah. Once you click synchronize, you'll be able to pull out the live list of the reporting obligations of the client. So whether if they have an activity statement lodgement obligations, or they lodge income tax return, or they got FBT, you can see the details there. And if you click view, you can see the transaction. So if you click on view on the integrated client's account or whatever, you can see the transaction that the client has with the ATO in the recent 12 months. If you need to go back further, you can change the date range on the top, and then click go, and it will give you the list of the transaction for that period that you requested. So if you're doing an audit for the client or review of the client situations, you can go as far back as you need to, and then pull out all the transactions that the client has for with the ATO during that period, and be able to export that into PDF or Excel so that you can discuss or work as required. Now, going back to that previous page, if you click back on the middle left, yep, you can see on the right hand side, besides, will you also be able to access to the PRN. If you want to view that, you can view that, view the details for your the client's payment information. And if there is a requirement for you to if the client has an outstanding amount with the ATO, you can now also request the payment plan or view the payment plan if they've got an existing payment plan in place. Okay. And you can view them, and you can request a new one as well. We will go through, we have a webinar on Thursday that will go through these features in details, but for now, I'll just briefly go through some of the changes that we have implemented in the ATO Insights that if you are the subscriber for this service. Now, on top of that, of course, besides these features, you also have the full client update. So if you go to the ATO services, the drop down, you can see the full view of all the ATO client update services that you have access to it from here. Now, last year we also released not only the I think we also introduced the PAYGI, the calculator. So if you need to do it to calculate the installment amount for the clients, especially for individuals, they need to know the installment amounts for their repayments or each month or each quarter. You can do that using the calculator here. Also, this is on the company, but if it's an individual, you can also pull out the outcome assessment for the clients as well. So if you are using an external software, tax return software, and you need to compare the pre-filling that the client has with the ATO, you can pull out the outcome of assessments, or you can also pull out, see the bank details if you know the bank details, the financial institutions, or what else is there that you can pull out? The ATO client communications on the client's level from here. Okay. Wonderful. I think that's it.
All right, great. Are there any questions coming through for the ATO Insights piece?
Oh, pretty straightforward.
Nothing, no questions yet?
No, not yet.
Cool. Okay. All right. All right. Well, you okay if I jump into ATO checks?
All good.
Yeah, cool.
Thanks.
All right. Let me just jump into ATO checks here. And I'm just going to stop sharing my screen again. I'm going to share something else. Here we go. Just getting used to the GoToWebinar. It's quite a lot newer than it used to be. Share. Hopefully you can see my ATO check screen. Yep, perfect. Okay. So this is the second feature that we wanted to cover off. So this is really new. It's only been released in the last few weeks, and I guess what it is, it's essentially an after lodgement verification service. So up until now, you lodge with the ATO, and then it's kind of like on their end, and you're waiting, and you don't really know what's happening and if it's going to be approved, and how much money you're going to get back or you have to pay, and all these sorts of things. So because we're tied in pretty closely with the ATO, we thought we might build a service that essentially you can keep track of the progress of the return now from start to finish, including on the ATO's end, which is pretty cool, I think. So I guess the point of it is it can make you a lot more efficient, because I can imagine around tax time, you probably get a lot of calls and inquiries about, how much I'm going to have to pay and when am I getting my refund and all this sort of thing. And there you'll be able to actually keep your clients in the loop. So you'll be able to save a lot of time from fielding those calls, but you'll be able to keep them in the loop of what's happening as well. So essentially you're monitoring the lodgement process. So I'll just take you through here. As I said, I'm brand new to this. I'll take you through what I know, and then I'll get Tiana or Sandeep to help out. But let's start off. So what I've done, I've imported, again, some dummy data into ATO checks, and you can do this from as a CSV from your system as well. We've got the reference number, the client name, the tax file redacted, financial year, whether it's practice or personal. We've got our tax estimate, and then obviously we've got some blank data here that's not filled in, but we can get back an ATO estimate. We can see the what the status is of the lodgement. We'll be able to see when we're going to get our refund, and then if we go here into status, all these are at 10%. So essentially that just means that we've submitted to the ATO, and as more information comes in, this bar will climb up and eventually reach 100%, and you'll be able to see all the details filled in. So that's about as much as I know on it. So if Tiana or Sandeep wanted to take over and show the audience anything that I've missed.
Okay. Sandeep, do you want to go through this since... All right, while we're waiting for Sandeep. Okay, so it does a lot more than besides checking the status. I'm sure I have spoken to a few of you over time. When you occasionally, when you know that you've lodged the tax return, rather than going to the ATO where you can see the lodgement status, the ATO lodgement status, not the GovReports. GovReports, once you've lodged, it's gone, it's lodged, it's with the ATO. Once you get to the ATO, the ATO has a few lodgement status on there. So whether it's once it's been reviewed, if you click on the lodgement on the top, ATO lodgement status on the top. Yeah, there's a drop down. There's a few statuses there.
Sorry, yeah. This one?
Yep.
Yeah.
Please. So you can see there whether it's all open, completed, or archive or void. You can see the where it is at and all the lodgements as well. So it will give you an update where it is with the ATO, where it has been processed, it has been received, refund review, or whatever. So you can see the status where it is at, and you don't have to call GovReports again. Or if you're not using GovReports, then you can also see where the ATO is at in terms of processing that tax return that you have submitted for the client. Also, it's important financial institution type. You can see the practice. If you know that these clients have, you have lodged their tax return and put in the trust bank account for the refund. Now, if the clients, for whatever reasons, gone into the ATO portal and changed the bank details from your trust account to their personal account so that they would get the refund, you would see the financial institution status as in red, and that means that it has been changed. So if you are using GovReports, it will be straightforward. We will notify you. But if you use an external tax, a zero, an MYOB or whatever, then you can see the status that it is red, and you can then go back to the client's profile, change it back to your trust bank account to receive the refund before the ATO actually paid it. You can see all these status. Just basically get familiar with how it's, like the informations, and if, like I said, if it's changed, you can change it back. Also, you can see the estimates. So if the estimates, the tax estimate or the tax, what you have estimate from the tax software is different from the ATO's estimate, you can, like if there's any discrepancy, you'll be notified. But you can go in here, you can see the difference, and of course the ones that has the different amount to that of the ATO, you can quickly review that and resubmit the tax return perhaps before the clients get notified by the ATO. Okay, and that might save you some embarrassment, or at least we can check before we, before the clients actually receive notification from the ATO that the refund is less than what you have estimated for them. Of course, anything else that I missed, Sandy?
Yes, Diana, I'll just go through that one, the process of how we do the ATO checks. So so basically what we do is that there are 4 stages. So 4 types of checking that we do on the ATO checks against the ATO. So for any individual tax return that has been submitted through GovReports or through any other external software, you can bring up the data into GovReports, and once it has been added, so we do like a monitoring the lodgement status. So for example, if you're lodging a tax return through a tax software, it means that it is the submitted status. Submitted in the sense there is another step process on the ATO backend system. They do that. There are multiple processing status, so which you can see like whether it has been cancelled, on hold, or processed. There are different kind of lodgement status. So what we do is that first thing, so when the record has been added to verify, we monitor the lodgement status. So once the lodgement status has been verified, we will be the next stage on the ATO checks would be checking the bank details. So there are 2 types of bank details that can be added on the tax return, whether it is a practice like a practice trust account bank details to get the refund, or the taxpayers bank details to get the refund. For in some practices, what they do is that the tax agents of tax trust bank account details has been added for the EFT reconciliation reports. During that time, so after the lodgements, the taxpayers has a chance to change the bank details on their MyGov account, which the refund will be processed on the changed bank details. To avoid that, so what we have done is that we do the checking. So we check the bank details every day twice, once in the morning 10 o'clock, and the next one would be running at the 6 o'clock to monitor whether the bank details has been changed apart from what has been submitted from the on the tax return. After the lodgement status has been checked as processed on the ATO side, so the next stage would be this checking the tax estimate, verifying the tax estimate between the tax software and also the ATO assessment. So so what we do is that we cross-check the tax estimate, and once it has been matching, so there you can see match. So for in some cases, if it has not been matching with the ATO assessment, then you can get a notification, and also on the records where you can see the warning icon, so that estimation is not matching against the ATO and the tax software. So, and then the next stage would be the refund process. So, and then we will be GovReports system will be checking the refund, when the refund will be processed and where it has been processed, whether it has been refunded to the EFT, to the bank details, or just some cases it will be transferred to the other government agencies as a credits. So in that case, we will be monitoring where the refund has been processed and when it has been processed. So the stages would be every day the system would be checking on the status on the ATO for each and every stages, and then you will be notified at the end of the day. You will be getting notifications about the whole lot of records when there is, for example, when there is a change of the bank details. So as I mentioned, every day twice. So when there is a change, you will get an alert that this client's bank details has been changed on the ATO for the refund process. So these are the basic things, the core thing that has been included on the ATO checks, but I can tell you that how the data that you can bring, for example, if you're using the GovReports, you don't need to worry about to add the data into the ATO checks every day. So there is a settings available on the lodgement settings and report setting. Once you activate that, automatically the data would be transferred by end of the day, if you, for example, if you're lodging like hundreds of individual tax returns, automatically all the 100 records will be automatically added over the night, and from next day onwards, the process will be begin to check from with the ATO. Likewise, you can also, after the process has been completed, you can download the document, the stats into a CSV file. So you can just download, for example, you can filter and you can use the filter options, and you can just export that into a CSV file as well. At the moment, the records where you can see on the screen, so that's a new records, like just imported using the CSV file. So just in case if the tax agent is using an external tax software, you can bring that into GovReports in a bulk as well as using the CSV file. We do have a similar, CSV format. The sample file is also available on the screen where you can download that. So that requires like the name, tax file number, tax estimate, whether the bank details is the practice bank details, on the bank details like the BSP number, account number, and the name, and the tax estimate. Once we got the details, you can just process, you can import into GovReports, and automatically the status would be checked against the ATO. I can just tell you that, so like for example, on the records, so when you go to home, Tony, click on home. So click on any one of the records. So that will give you a detailed view on the right hand side. So with the reference number, that is each records will have a reference number to match with the, for example, in case if you want to reach out to our support team, then you need to use this reference number. So that will be easier for us to contact the ATO as well in terms of checking on the status. So likewise, the TFN would be automatically masked based on the ATO compliance. And you can see what are the details has been imported and where it, how it has been added to the GovReports, whether it is CSV file or transfer from GovReports or just manually submitted from the GovReports. So you can see all the data. When you scroll a little bit down, you can see the tax estimate.
Oh yeah, it's down all the way on mine.
Yeah, right.
Yes, okay.
And you can see the bank details as well. When it has a bank details, the bank details also should be available, and you can see the comparison. I think I need to bring up another screen so to show you in detail about how it looks like with the processing status, processed report. Anyway, so where you can see the history. So the history will just give you the guidance about the audit log, so when it has been added and when it has been processed, and each and every status checking on the stages. You can see the timestamp, and then what is the status on that as well. This one is just, it's a fresh record, so where you can't see much audit logs, but in the processed one you can see all much, like a detailed audit log for each records. And when there is a mismatch between the tax estimate, between the tax software generator and the ATO assessment, and you can download an assessment copy which has been generated by GovReports. It won't be, it's going to be similar to the notice of assessment, but it is GovReports generated without the ATO logos.
Nice.
Any questions? I think there should be one question, Stiana. Do you check that?
Yeah, I have a question. Sorry, there is a question from Amanda. Is the client changing the bank details? So as we mentioned earlier, Amanda, if the client, sometimes you have a smart client that goes into the ATO portal and, notify the bank for, notify the ATO of the change of bank details to receive the tax refund. Unfortunately, the ATO will process the tax return and then pay the refund based on the nominated bank account, the latest nominated bank account. Now, having said that, the ATO does check for this, and if that does happen, we give you the change status. So you can see the financial institution status. If it's been changed, then you can see from the time that you lodge the tax return, you would have notified us which bank details was initially nominated, and if it has been changed, the status it's been changed, so that you can go back, as I mentioned, because with the ATO Insights, you would be able to go back to the client, go on the client's profile, and then change the status back to your bank account, trust account. So it's just simply easier, so that you don't have to trace the client for the payment of the tax return that you prepared. Instead, because of the agreement that you have, now it would be easier for you to get the refund directly from the ATO and pay them the difference of into the bank account, nominated bank account that you have on file. That makes sense.
Amazing. Do we have any other questions?
I have a questions to ask Sandeep. So Sandeep, if I use another software, instead of data entry into a spreadsheet, and then upload into GovReports, is there a direct way that I can, rather than, like data entry into the spreadsheet and upload into GovReport, is there an easier way for me to import the client, my tax return lodgement, client's lodgements into GovReports?
That's a good question, Tiana. Yes, we do have an options when they're dealing with a large volume of tax returns and having their own CRM or a lodgement platform on their own. They can use our API. We have enabled one of the APIs, the developer APIs. You can push the records from system to system, application to application. You can push all the records to GovReports ATO checks.
Cool.
Perfect. If there's any other questions anyone has, feel free to pop them in while we've still got some time here. Tiana, Sandeep, is there anything else you wanted to cover off?
Yep. So in terms of cost, the ATO Insights, as Tony mentioned earlier, if you have a GovReport subscriptions already, if you are using GovReport as a tax software, then a lot of the ATO online services is available within your account. However, if you want to keep track of your practice performance, lodgement statistics that the ATO has on your practice, the ATO Insight is a perfect add-on. However, if you are not using GovReport as a tax software, then like this is the ATO online services solutions that you can have independent of your tax software. And it's what's beautiful about it is that you don't like you can have your staff logging in, especially if you have overseas staff as well. They don't have to rely on you giving them access to your MyGov account in order to get access to the ATO online services, or you can share, waiting for you to share the information from the ATO. And it's like just so many services that you can use. Now the cost for this is $548 plus GST, so that's just under the $600 per year, additional to your GovReport subscription. And if you are not currently using GovReports, that's just the subscription fee. If you've got multiple users and you've got additional users on the account, it will be $173 per year per user. For the ATO checks, it's because it's a new product. For the it's the cost to have an account, to have the account set up is, or to have the account per year is $199 GST inclusive, plus 20 cents per transaction. So for us to keep track of you can select the clients that you want to add into for tracking, or you can just select all the clients for tracking and have that set up on your account. And if you've got the credits in your account, our system automatically check for you. Okay, that's pretty much it. And
cool.
for those,
just bring up the screen so where you can see in the detail about some of the processed records. So rather than just having a fresh record on the webinar, so where you can see, I can just click on one of the report, which can show you that whether the bank details has been matched and the tax estimate mismatch. When you click on the view details, you can just get a PDF copy of the assessment.
Perfect. Thanks, Sandeep. Should also mention that you can trial most of our products. So on our website, you'll be able to be guided whether you're a tax agent or a BAS agent, be able to trial some of these products. And most of the pricing is on the website as well, as well as our details. So if you do get stuck or you want to speak to someone, you can call us during business hours. You can email us anytime. We're always happy to help. Well, if there's no more questions, you okay if we wrap up, Tiana?
Sure.
Yep.
Thank you, everyone.
Perfect. Well, thanks everyone for joining us. Thanks for taking the time. Really appreciate it. We hope you've enjoyed the webinar. I hope you learned a thing or two. I know these things, you step away from work and you hope just to get one good takeaway to go back to work with. So hopefully we've delivered that. As I said, if you need anything, call us, email us. We're always happy to help. And don't forget to check out the rest of our webinars. We've got another webinar on Thursday night at the same time. And all that, you can see all the details of those on our website, govreports.com.au. Well, on behalf of the team, I want to thank you again. Looks like you got a bit of an early mark, which is always good. And we hope to see you out there soon. Thanks.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.